All right, hey, what's up, Polar fam? This is Bear here, all alone currently on the stage. But if anyone does want to join me in this, they are more than welcome to go into our weekly Polar Community AMA, give you guys the latest and greatest of Polar, interact with you guys, of course, answer any questions that you might have, go over what has happened in the last week, what is to come, and give you guys a direct outlet to the team here. So please, if you guys have any questions during this AMA, simply request to speak here, raise your hand, I'll bring you up live, or you can post away in the AMA Questions Weekly channel. So I do want to just start out by saying I do apologize that we are a day and a different time slot early. It will be a different time slot again next week, so please look at the community announcements. I'll still get these AMAs done, of course, and I'll do an impromptu one if we have some updates to go over while I'm gone. But I will be in Germany for the next 8 days, and I'm hopping on a flight here in just a few hours. So that'll be pretty cool. Haven't really taken a vacation since January 2020, so shout out to that. But it'll still be great. I'll still be here with you guys. Have the laptop and phone to work anywhere in the world. That's the greatest thing about crypto. But of course, we're not here to talk about Germany unless we are. But if we're not, then we got to go over the latest and greatest for Polar and the fam here. So as you guys have seen, and I see Pred is already in the AMA here, there has been some pretty good updates in reference to that kind of battle royale style game that has been already, almost done already at this point actually. So Pred said they expect it in the next few weeks, maybe early to mid October would probably be a realistic time frame there. So that'll be pretty good. If you guys had not yet gone and seen the different teasers there, Enor just posted a bunch of photos this morning in the main announcement channel to go over just some of the graphics and a little bit of the storyline behind that. Because who doesn't love a good story with a play to earn game? So that's kind of the latest from that perspective there. There should be some pretty good details coming out on that in the next couple of days or weeks. We already have a medium kind of up and running, so we'll get all that released to you guys there. And of course, we also have a pretty big update coming with the V4, right? So we did try to put it out a few weeks ago, didn't go super great, so we pulled it back, refocused, and now we are about ready to get this thing back to the community once again. So contracts are either finalized or in the very, very late finalized stage. I think Enor said this morning that they are done. And then, of course, we will now have a testnet for the community. So we did that with version 3.0, if you guys do not recall, that way back in April. But this is a pretty cool thing. Basically, we'll give you instructions on how to get into a testnet, and then from there you can test it for us and for you. So this will really allow you to kind of get in there, identify any bugs that might be, out there, give you guys or give us some feedback from you guys, of course, and really allow that all to be kind of figured out and then resolved prior to it actually going live. So we should be having that here in the next, hopefully, week or two. We can get the test net going, and then a little bit after that, once all the issues are resolved, we can bring it to mainnet and get it live to the community. That version 4.0 is a big one. If you guys are just tuning in for the first time in months or weeks or whatever, there are some huge changes, including us moving over to Binance Smart Chain. So if that is news to you, please ask some questions, or simply read over some different announcements there. We'll be more than happy to guide you through everything that's happening on that regards. But a lot of big things, a lot of big changes, and some pretty good progression thus far for Polar. And we'll still be Polar even though we're moving to BSC. Not a huge deal there. I've seen people maybe have some questions for why BSC. I've answered them on AMAs pretty regularly and also in the chats. But of course, if you guys have questions, please simply request to speak or ask away in the AMA Questions Weekly channel. We'll answer them all for you. So let's see here. As I'm kind of going over to some of my notes from Enor in other chats, he is basically just refining things at this stage. We're at a pretty late stage for a lot of what we're working with here. So it's just refining some of the map layouts and really kind of zoning in and honing in on the finer details that need to be resolved prior to going live. And I think that's a great thing for us all, so we can hopefully get those resolved even prior to the beta and the testnet going live for each and every one of you here. So while I usually like to just go into just all the news in the beginning, but I think that's pretty much the basis of it. If my brain remembers more, I'll definitely give it out. But I have Spirit 16 looking to get up here on the stage. So Spirit 16, once you accept that invite, you will be live. What's going on?
Hello.
Hi, how are you? What can I help you with?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. So basically, I haven't been seeing anything about this project in like few months now, and I just joined now for after a very long time. I have invested like over 5K dollars, and I just wanted to know, like, basically, what are your thoughts? Like, what's going on? Like, are you guys? I mean, I know that you say that you're doing this and you're doing that, but when I see numbers and when I see what I have invested and what I have received out of this project, it hasn't been anything. Basically, I've lost 5K.
Okay, so is your question
So
on.
my question is like, okay, so what's going on? Like, okay, we were doing this, all these things that you say, and all these updates and all these things. I mean, where are we going with this?
Yeah, so we've gone quite a bit, obviously, not just us, but everybody. Starting in May, there's been a very significant downtrend, right? So I'm not going to sit here and try to sugarcoat that. I'm not going to say, well, just hold on longer and it'll be great, because we're not in the same DeFi that we were just a few months ago, right? So since May and that crash happened, many other projects that you may or may not have been invested in have literally vanished. They've run out of money, they've run out of strategy, they've run out of whatever, right? So they're gone, they closed doors, and that's it for them. So the difference that we're kind of bringing here is, instead of just saying, well, the markets are rough and we're just going to bleed out until we run out of money, then we'll shut our doors. We decided, hey, let's find a way to at least have a future. And it might not be a future that is resembling the past of January, February, March, April, and into May, but it is a different future that ideally we can progress with. So, kind of the biggest things that are going on there, I did tag you in the Discord announcement that I kind of went over each and every aspect of it, is that we're moving a little bit through the different blockchains. And I'll kind of go over why that might be, because maybe you're not super familiar, but I'll kind of play a little exercise I played last week as well. So, if you guys go to Dex Screener and you click on the Avalanche on the left, you'll see 24-hour volume of 81 million. It's actually pretty good for Avalanche. 81 million 24-hour volume. But then you go to the BSC side, 24-hour volume is 1.22 billion, and on the Matic side, 121 million, right? So there is not quite as much movement on AVAX from a blockchain perspective compared to some of the others that are currently out there. And we can all argue for why that might be. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. This is just a business decision to try to see if we can give ourselves the best chance of success in the future. So there will be a change in tokenomics. I can almost assure that once we move over to the BSC side. But I cannot sit here and promise you that we're going to get back to that point that you might have been at when you invested originally. I honestly can't, because I cannot predict the future. But I can say that we are actively and progressively trying to build this business beyond just the struggles that have already occurred lately, of course. And we're not just going to sit here and accept that. We got to keep battling and fighting every step of the way. So I don't know if that's a picture perfect answer, because I can't guarantee you even an ROI. I honestly can't. But I can say that we're working in order to create an environment that is best suited towards achieving that goal in the future. But I can't promise you what that might look like from a dollar perspective.
Yeah, understandable. I mean, I've lost it already, 5K. So I mean, I just wish you guys like good luck. And yeah, it's been a lesson for me in many ways, not just with this project, but with a couple other projects as well. But yeah, I wish you guys good luck. Well, myself as well, since I'm still in the project. But that
Yeah,
was it
yeah,
for
and
me.
likewise, man. I definitely appreciate you coming up here. Again, there's nothing, if you do want to move on, there's no hard feelings for me. It's kind of why we're up here, is to at least give people an outlet to chat with us and say, okay, hey, these are real people, and it sucks, and I've, I was a community manager, and quite frankly, I invested a lot in April of outside money, and it's gone too, right? But I keep working here. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying, oh, woe is me. Certainly not. But, it's, I understand. And basically, that's kind of what I'm getting at there, is I understand that it's been rough in DeFi the last, multiple months for a lot of people. So I don't want to undermine that by any means, but hopefully we have a future here with us with Polar. But if not, hey, crypto will come back, DeFi will come back, and hopefully you can get some W's here coming up before year's end.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, appreciate you, man. All right, next one here from Dominican. A couple new people that we've had jump up on the stage. What's going on?
Hey, yeah, well, I'm not super active in the community, but I've been part of it since about March. I wanted to ask, and it's some teasers have been given, but what exactly does the move to Binance mean for existing holders and existing nodes? Are they going to be kind of one for whatever it looks like in V4 for Binance? Is it going to be we're going back to the original production of Polar? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there are gonna you are gonna be able to migrate them over to the BSC side. Exactly how that's going to work, I'm not 100% sure, but they will kind of move over on a at least a modified one for one basis. There's just some discussions on the with the Enor and all that, so I don't know exactly how it's going to look, but no nodes are going to be deleted or anything. That being said, you are going to have to migrate them manually if you do choose to go over to the BSC side. And it'll be as simple as clicking a button on Binance Smart Chain, but it will cost some gas, which will be in BNB. So keep that in mind as well. Now the nodes, they're going to be able to migrate over, but the Polar token that's currently on AVAX will no longer be supported here on AVAX. As far as I'm aware, there is no plan on airdropping Polar tokens one for one or anything of the sort onto the BSC side, because quite frankly, that'll just put us back in the same position that we are currently. So the LP will stay here on AVAX for the Polar token, but there'll be nothing on Avalanche to support it. What does that mean? That means that it'll likely end up just continuing to drop on the Avalanche side, right? Once we relaunch a new token on BSC, it'll have some different tokenomics associated with it, some different tokenomics associated with the nodes, and all that will be released prior to us pushing the update so that people can make that really good judgment assessment of saying, hey, do I want to spend the gas fees to migrate over or not? Right. So I want to be able to give you guys that kind of information prior so you can make at least a sound decision, under your own accord and kind of go from there, but also give us feedback, of course.
Another question for you. So, just out of curiosity, where is the liquidity coming from for kind of the new token on Binance? Is that being raised, or is the funds kind of already available?
Yes, we already have 800 plus thousand in our treasury, so we'll just pair the new token with some allocation of a treasury fund, and we'll establish a new LP on the BSE side.
Okay, cool. Thanks for taking my question. Everybody, go check out Project X. I'm just kind of chilling that too because it's doing pretty well, and yeah, thank you.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming on up here. Cool, cool, cool. Hey, it's pretty neat. Once one person asks a question live, next thing we know, it's one after one after one after one. So shout out to that. Thank you for starting that early, friends, or someone who wasn't super thrilled. But it's all good. Hey, what's going on, Cams?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing pretty well. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. I understand the travel. I just got back stateside. I was overseas for about 6 months. So, I had a quick question regarding the V4 and the move to Binance. Do you have an idea of a hard changeover, or is it going to be like the V2 migration, or what are we looking at here?
Oh, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by hard changeover?
Is there going to be, because you announced that it won't be supported no longer on Avalanche. Is there like a hard date that we're going to have to migrate over to Binance? Is there going to be like a how should I phrase this? Is there a certain time frame that you all are targeting for most of the users to be moved over?
Yeah, so that's a great question there. And I've actually talked with Enor about it. Personally, I kind of want to give about 30 to 45 days at the most. And the main reason, the main thought process behind that is once we can say for sure that X amount of nodes did not migrate over, then we really have a solid baseline of what the emissions rate is going to be on the BSC side. I don't want to make it a week or anything way too short. I want to give people ample time to figure, kind of that side out. But I also don't want it to be 6 months because if somebody has 1,000 nodes right now and they decide to wait, and the next thing we know, our emissions rate, goes through the roof at some point in the future. I don't really want to navigate that issue either. So ideally, a month to a month and a half, maybe 2 months at most. But I would definitely prefer it to be, long enough to give people a chance, but not too long to migrate the nodes over. Now the tokens, like I said, you'll still be able to trade them on Trader Joe, as long as the LP still has money in it, which it will probably, quite frankly, deplete relatively quickly once people are just selling Polar on there. But that being said, your nodes will no longer be accumulating Polar on the Avalanche side once we push that update, because you won't be able to access the DApp on the AVAX side. So migrating over sooner is generally probably a better idea.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, appreciate it. Good question, man. Cool. So again, I do want to just say, hey, shout out to everyone who's joined us here on this AMA. Even though it's a different time, still 45 people in here. Appreciate you all. Sorry last week my energetic self maybe wasn't quite the same. Allergies were destroying me, but here we are back at it again, fully loaded with caffeine and ready for a flight. So easy day. Let me find the AMA Questions Weekly channel to see if there are any questions that I may answer for people here. All right, so this was on the 16th. When was that? Cool, that was there. Question from Elia14. Do we need to save our Polar tokens for the BSC migration, or should we trade them now in AVAX? So I can't tell you when or what to trade on the Avalanche blockchain, but this token that you're accumulating now will not be migrating over to the BSC side. So do with that what you will, but it will not be supported by the protocol on Avalanche once we move over. So, I guess in a very clear way, if you want to sell your tokens, you can definitely do so, but they're not going to move over to BSC once we decide to make that launch and that move. All right, next question from Keith. Let me make sure no one's raising their hand. Oh, they are. Okay, I do prioritize live speaking, so Node Math, I'm going to bring you up here live. Then I'll answer Keith's question.
When will be the scans open?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand. You could repeat that, please?
When will be the BSC thing starts?
Once we launch the update to version 4.0, we move the protocol over there. That's when the tokens will be minted on the BSC side. So we ignored chat a little bit today. Contracts are done. Test phases have already started. So probably within a couple of weeks, but we all know how that could go, but sooner rather than later.
Okay, what will be the launch price for that?
So I don't know just yet, but it's really subjective. And I'll kind of go over that just a little bit for people here who may not really know the token price works, right? You can make them whatever. You can make a token worth 0.0005, or you can make it worth $5,000 a token. And you can use the same amount of, in this case, BUSD to do that. So you can really set the tokenomics however you want. It's more so marketing. So I wouldn't, get too tied up on that. If we make the token at 0.005, it could have the same exact value than if we made it at $5,000 per token, because it'll just be fractionalized by the distribution, basically, of that native token to BUSD once you launch the liquidity pair on, in this case, PancakeSwap. So don't get too wrapped up around that. It'll be a very different tokenomic system, and it's really just, we can set it at whatever we want, to be honest.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, appreciate it. Good questions. All right. Keith, I'm going to get back to your question once I can find this channel. Shout out to that. Okay, from Keith. Can we spice up the lottery? The amount of Polar to purchase a ticket is very low. Can this be increased as well as rewards? Maybe made a bit more exciting, like multiple nodes of all tiers. Even introducing special nodes to the lottery. 150 Polars aren't hard to get these days, and even only like 50 cents a purchase. I think there is a good amount of Polar being asked for to pay for a ticket. It's not assisting with the emissions that Node is going to put out over the next 6 months, for example. Yeah, so that's a great kind of input there, Keith. And quite frankly, our lottery is, it is what it is. But I personally also agree that I wish it was a little bit more creative. I know it was originally designed to be basically a proxy lottery generator, which automates the lottery at a defined time. Obviously, that has not been the case, as people have realized it's being run manually, right? If it's not being run manually and I'm mistaken, it is definitely not automated as it should be. So I'll kind of push for that to be a little bit more incentivized as we navigate further into the future. We have all this code, we have all these contracts, so we really should be able to find a way to, I guess, incentivize it a little bit more, create some uniqueness with it. I totally agree with that. There, I don't really like it being kind of one layered, if that makes sense. So that's a great input, and definitely appreciate that. I'll look into that, man. All right. Okay, next question here from T-Well. Polar Battle Royale is DOTA like? Kind of in a sense, right? So I've never actually played that game, so I can't really speak on that personally, but it'll be like a, Battle Royale, kind of Bomberman feel, I guess. So that kind of thing. I haven't obviously tested it personally, so I'm not too sure just on that. Next question here from Meowface. If you had to roughly guess, what is the soonest a protocol might be able to get some backing revenue, cap nodes, and switch rewards to stable so we can zoom ahead and leave the incredible shrinking Ponzi token in the rearview mirror? So Meowface, there is a little bit of a debate in DeFi on paying within a stable token, right? A stable coin of some sort, because that stable coin still has to come from somewhere, right? So there's a couple thought process behind that. Let's say the most basic non-Ponzi economic way would be to say, hey, we're not going to promise a defined daily APR, that it's based off of an accumulated revenue from X, Y, and Z distributed by a certain percentage across all the nodes. Not super exciting once we have as many nodes as we do, right? So if there was like 5,000 nodes, that'd be pretty dang cool. I mean, that'd be pretty impressive, right? But if there's, 100,000, maybe not so much. So there is a little bit there. I generally agree with you, though, is I would almost rather a realer return of like, 0.5% or less per day than a pseudo return of 2% per day that doesn't actually accumulate to 2% per day once you expand it out over 30 or 60 or 90 or 180 days, for example, right? So, I try to push on that. If you guys recall, I've been pushing us to try to go lower with our rewards since February. So it's not a new thing for me, just because we can kind of see it. We see what's happened, right? So we know that without demand, value goes down. So I think we're all pretty clear on that aspect. Great question, though. Let's see here. Next one from Diesel Grime. Previous AMAs, you were saying that only newer nodes were going to be able to migrate. Is this still the case? No, Diesel. This was not. This is where I try to, this is when I start doing my lawyer speak, right? So I try to give just different ideas throughout different times, and I always preface it with, this is not what's happening. This is just a discussion. How do you guys feel about it? Give us some feedback, because I'm genuinely just trying to get your feedback from those different things. But you will be able to transfer all nodes over. None of them are going to be deleted or anything like that. I know there was a rumor that ran around over the last week or so. I tried to spell it in chat. It kind of, again, as I predicted, gained some fuel to the fire. So no, we are not deleting nodes. You can migrate them over if you choose to, whether you got them, recently or in the past. Now, there might be a situation where if you do migrate one over that is some defined period of time back from like March or whatever, or even early April, maybe it'll start at 0% health for the life potion thing, but you will still be able to migrate it over if you choose to. So please don't stress about that. I know they kind of got out of hand, which I predicted it would be when there was a question asked in general. So, it is what it is, but you'll be all good there. No worries, no stress. But honestly, I'm relatively excited about all these different things here. We're kind of like bottlenecked, right? So we've been pushing for all these updates for so long, and now they're starting to actually, ideally, start coming to life here. Hopefully, we'll have this battle royale style game coming out here in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, we'll have version 4.0 in the next couple of weeks. And I'm telling you right now, if Enord sends me a DM and I'm in Germany and I'm at Oktoberfest and I'm feeling great, and he's like, hey, we're going to drop V4, I will hop on an AMA no matter where I am in the world, and we'll go over everything there with you guys. So I'm pretty excited for all that to go live. I think it's a great switch over to BSC. I know there's been some, I don't know how I want to word that, some, I guess, questions about the effectiveness of switching over to BSC. And they're like, well, it's not a magic pill. You still have to have X, Y, and Z to succeed. Of course. But if you also are not going to launch a, hair beauty store in a city that has only bald residents, right? So you have to give your business the best chance to succeed wherever you want to run it. And in my observations, I just went over the numbers a little bit earlier. BSC having 1.22 billion with a B 24-hour volume. Shout out to that. I did not even know it went up that high. Compared to AVAX's 81.5 million with an M. So we're talking, 1/20th or whatever it might be. 5 to 10% of what BSC's is on the volume standard. So that's why launching on BSC might be a good idea. There's a bigger audience over there. There's more money moving over there. I personally love BSC, and I can assure that if we market things right and people like what they see, there's still a lot of money in DeFi on the Binance Smart Chain. So that could be a good thing, but obviously it's not a one pill to solve all the problems. We got to work on quite a bit of other things, emissions included. All right, let's see here. Thor Bob is typing, so I'll give you just a little bit of time here. I know this has only been 30 minutes or so, but I am okay doing it just a little bit shorter because I got, like I said, got some things to take care of today, get on a plane, go around the world. Got to pick up my homie still here in a little bit, so lots of good things working with me here. But the question from Thor Bob. Will all the issues, changes, rewards, potions, tokenomics, etc. be available to us prior to the migration so we have time to analyze those changes? Hopefully so, Thor Bob. So I've already kind of talked with Enor about getting a white paper produced, and I'll be more than happy to type it out once I get the finite information from it so that you guys can assess it, right? And, things are always changeable. Let's say we release something and we do listen to feedback from the community as exampled by version 3.5. So we are open to feedback, but we cannot compromise the future just if people are not happy with some of the different things, unless there's a really valid, reasoning behind it, which we're all for. So ideally, I want to get that information out to you guys as soon as possible. If I could put it out today, I would, even though we're still weeks away from going live with version 4.0. Because I think it's important, and it's important for everyone to be able to make that assessment on their own and analyze those changes and say, hey, maybe I don't want to migrate my nodes over, and I'm okay just, wiping my hands clean and kind of moving forward, no hard feelings, and move on. And on the flip side, you might be like, okay, cool. Maybe I was on the fence about moving over, but this kind of makes sense, and it gives us a theory and a strategy to maybe be able to succeed and grow from here. So yeah, I'll definitely move my nodes over and I'll get that BNB prepared on BSC. So the earlier we can get it to you, the better. I totally agree with that. So as soon as I can, as soon as I have information, I'll be more than happy to push it out to all of you guys. But as we're sitting here right now, I promise I am not holding any secrets. There's nothing in my brain that I'm withholding from you guys. I honestly don't know everything just yet. But as soon as we do, and I do, we'll get that information out to the people, of course. It's a great question there. Let's make sure that we have answered all the questions. Make sure no one is typing with us. If you guys don't know, I'm pretty excited. Maybe I'm just feeling good because I haven't taken a vacation in almost 3 years, and I get to kind of go away for a little bit, get with my homie, go to Oktoberfest. Shout out to everyone over in Germany because that'll be a good time. But I'm feeling good about Polar too, so I definitely appreciate doing these AMAs with you guys. There is a change to next week's AMA as well. I might be able to do it on Wednesday, but I think we're traveling a little bit that day. So I did just tentatively schedule it for Friday, September 30th. I'll be back in Texas in my native residential town in my house on Friday, September 30th at 8 p.m. UTC. I've already put the event tab up there in our Polar events on our Discord, so please go put that you're interested in there so that it reminds you. It is a little bit of a change in time. I do apologize sincerely, but if I can make it Wednesday, I will. But right now, I think people are going to be okay with that Friday time slot, and then I'll actually have my recording audio, so I'll have it recorded for us to all enjoy as we go. So I'm going to give just a second here to make sure everyone is done typing. I see Meowface typing. Germany's fun. I haven't been there in a while. Enjoy. Shout out to that. I've actually never been to Europe. I've lived in Japan for a couple of years. I've been all over Asia. I've actually been all over a lot of the areas of the world, but Europe has not been a landing spot for me just yet. So this is my first trip to Europe. So definitely look forward to all of that. All right, looks like we've answered all the questions here, so definitely appreciate you guys joining us for our Polar Community AMA here on this beautiful September 20th, 2022. Definitely appreciate you all joining me here, even though it's been a different time, as we went over to some of the quick updates, quick hitters, get you guys what you need to for this week. More information will come. Hopefully this week I can get it out in text. We'll have another AMA next week on Friday, September 30th. Please set your reminder to join us there. Shout out to each and every one of you who joined us on today's AMA. We'll catch you guys all in the chat and then next week in the AMA as well. Peace out, fam.